I still remember the day I met Kevin like it happened just yesterday. I was sitting in a small, old cafe, drinking the cheapest coffee on the menu, trying to clear my mind and figure out what to do next with my life. Then, out of nowhere, he walked in. It felt like a moment from a movie, but without the dramatic music or fancy lighting. Just the sound of the doorbell and the mix of old coffee and the sharp smell of his aftershave filled the air. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the chair across from me. He had a smile that could make anyone's heart skip a beat. I tried to stay calm, even though my heart was racing. "Looks free to me," I said, hoping I didn't sound too nervous. We started talking, and it felt like we clicked instantly. He liked all the weird little things I liked, like binge-watching silly TV shows and arguing over the best pizza topping. He loves pineapple on pizza, by the way, and defended it like his life depended on it. Time flew by, and before we knew it, we weren't just casually dating anymore. It felt serious, like I'd known him forever. Soon, we were even talking about marriage. That's when things started to get tricky. Meeting his parents was like stepping into a lion's cage. They smiled, sure, but it felt like they were also judging me at the same time, trying to figure out if I was good enough. "So, you're the girl Kevin won't stop talking about?" his mom asked. Her voice sounded sweet, but there was something sharp hidden in her tone that made me feel uncomfortable. "Guilty as charged," I said with a nervous smile, trying to stay calm even though she was already getting under my skin. It didn't take long before they made their expectations clear. They wanted Kevin and me to sign a prenup. Now, I'm not a gold digger, and I've never needed anyone's money. But the way they brought it up, like they didn't trust me at all, just didn't sit right with me. So I told them, "Fine. I'll sign your prenup." I looked him in the eye and said firmly, "I'll sign it, but only if we add one condition. If either of us cheats, the cheater has to pay the other $300,000. Kevin's eyes widened like I'd just slapped him. "Babe, I would never cheat on you," he said, looking shocked and serious. "Yeah, well, my ex said the same thing, right before I caught him doing exactly that," I replied, making it clear I wasn't joking. "So, it's either this, or there's no deal." Kevin agreed. His parents did too, but they didn't look happy about it. Their faces looked like they had just swallowed something sour. We thought that would be the last of the drama. But we were wrong. One evening, we were cuddled up on our old, worn-out couch, the one we had promised to replace at least 100 times. We never did, though, because it had become our favorite spot. The TV was on, but we weren't really paying attention. We were too busy talking and dreaming about a trip to Poland. "Kevin, just imagine it," I said excitedly. "The food, the wine, the art, we have to go." He laughed and pulled me closer. "Patricia, babe, you had me at food. But let's be real, our bank account looks more like a backyard camping budget than a romantic trip to Kalabrzeg." I gave him a playful nudge. "Then we'll save. We'll cut back on stuff we don't need. Like, I don't know, your video games?" He gasped like I'd just suggested something unthinkable. "Not the video games. Take my shirts, my shoes, even my coffee maker, but not the games." We both burst out laughing. That was just who we were, dreamers with our feet still on the ground. We didn't need luxury to feel happy. Our joy came from the little things, like how Kevin always made breakfast on Fridays. He wasn't much of a cook, but somehow he'd learned how to make scrambled eggs and toast. The coffee was awful, but I still loved those mornings. "Hey, I'm thinking scrambled eggs today. What do you say?" he'd ask, already heading toward the kitchen. "Only if you promise not to burn the toast again," I'd yell back. "And I'm making the coffee this time." Then one day, the conversation we had avoided for a while finally came up. We were doing the dishes together, just a simple, everyday chore, but it felt special because we were doing it as a team. "Patricia," Kevin said, breaking the comfortable silence, "we need to talk about starting a family." I froze, still holding a plate in my hand. "I know," I said. It's scary, you know? What if we can't?" Kevin turned to me, drying his hands with a towel. "Then we'll deal with it together," he said. "But we won't know unless we try, right? How hard can it be?" I let out a nervous laugh, feeling both love and worry inside me. Famous last words, babe. But that was always our way. No matter what life threw at us, We faced it side by side. Even when his mom started making not-so-subtle comments about grandchildren every chance she got, we just smiled and tried to laugh it off. "Patricia, darling, when are you going to give me some grandbabies?" She'd ask sweetly, but her words always carried a sting. "You're not getting any younger, you know." I'd force a polite smile, biting my tongue to stop myself from saying something back. "We're working on it, aren't we, Kevin?" And Kevin would always jump in to support me.
"Yeah, Mom."
"Relax. These things take time." That's just how it was with us. We took it all as it came, leaning on each other through it all. But as months passed, the pressure started to build, not just from Linda, but inside us too. We wanted a family so badly. But it just wasn't happening as easily as we'd hoped. And ever since Linda had made it her mission to make my life harder, our home had started feeling more like a battleground. Her weapon? Her sharp, unforgiving words. What used to be small, snide remarks had now become her daily routine. Her words slowly chipped away at my confidence and made me question myself as a wife. Things finally blew up one Thursday during lunch, a day that was supposed to be calm and relaxed. Linda, with her perfect sense of bad timing, showed up uninvited just as we were about to eat. The moment she walked in, the air in the room shifted. Everything became tense. Her eyes scanned the room like she was checking for dust with a white glove. "Well, isn't this just cozy?" she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. She glanced at the simple meal I had made and added, "You've really outdone yourself, Patricia. I can tell you've spent all morning slaving away in the kitchen." She looked straight at me, with a little smirk on her face. I smiled tightly, trying to keep things calm. "It's nothing special, Linda. Just something quick and easy. Please sit down." But the moment we all sat, she started her usual act. "You know, Patricia," she began, her voice full of fake kindness. "I was talking to Mrs. Thomas the other day. Her grandson was just born, and it got me thinking, when are you and Kevin going to give me some good news?" She paused, then added with a little smile, "It's not like you're getting any younger." I could feel my face burn with both embarrassment and anger. I looked at Kevin, silently begging him to say something, to stand up for me. But he just stared down at his plate, pretending to be interested in his food. "Come on, Mom," he mumbled, but it was weak, and we all knew he didn't really mean it. Linda kept going, not backing down. "Kevin, dear, I'm not trying to be mean," she said, "but you're not running a charity. You work hard for your money. Why waste it on Patricia if she can't even handle the basic things a wife should? A cleaner and a cook would be a lot more useful, don't you think?" That was it. I couldn't stay quiet any longer. "Linda," I snapped, "I'm doing the best I can. It's not like I don't want children. And about the house and cooking, I didn't know being married meant I signed up to be your personal maid and chef." Linda rolled her eyes. "Well, marriage isn't a free ride either. You have responsibilities, Patricia, and it looks like you're failing at them." The air felt heavy with tension. My eyes were burning with tears I was trying to hold back. But what hurt more than her cruel words was Kevin's silence. Then he finally spoke, but his words made it worse. "Yeah, Mom kind of has a point. Maybe we should think about getting some help around here. It might make things easier for you too." "Easier for me?" His words hit me like a punch to the gut. That's when I realized I was fighting this battle alone. In the days that followed, Linda started coming over even more, and each time, her comments got meaner. She would inspect everything, like she was doing a house check. "You call this clean?" she'd say with a smirk. My eyes must be fooling me, because this looks like a mess. Then came the comments about my looks. "Is that what you're wearing?" she'd ask, raising an eyebrow. A wife should try to look good for her husband. No wonder Kevin is always tired. He has to come home to this. I try to speak up. "Linda, I don't dress for Kevin. I dress for myself. And he's tired because he works hard, not because of me." But it was like talking to a wall. Linda had already made up her mind about me, and nothing I said mattered to her. The worst part wasn't her constant judging. It was that Kevin never stood up for me. After every one of her visits, we'd end up arguing. "Why won't you defend me?" I asked him. She keeps tearing me down, and you just sit there and let her. She's old, Patricia, he replied. She's stuck in her ways. What do you want me to do, kick my own mom out? No, I said softly. I just want you to be my husband. To stand with me. Not against me. That's when I realized this wasn't just about Linda anymore. It was about our marriage, about whether we were strong enough to stand together, or if we were going to let her words break us apart. And as days turned into weeks, that question only grew louder in my heart. I realized this wasn't just a rough patch. It felt like we were being attacked from all sides, and if we didn't do something soon, there might be nothing left to fix. Things between Kevin and me had become cold and distant ever since Linda started constantly criticizing me. But it wasn't just the stress at home. Kevin had started acting differently too. And not the kind of different that comes from being busy at work. This felt deeper, something that made my stomach twist with worry. It began with the phone calls. Kevin used to be open about his phone. We never kept secrets. But now, every time he got a call, he would step out of the room. And every time, the name Jacob Work popped up on the screen. Who's Jacob Work? I asked one evening, trying to sound casual. Kevin flinched just a little, but I noticed. It was clear he was nervous. Oh, just a new guy at the office, he said quickly. He's got a lot of questions. But that wasn't the end of it. Kevin, who never used to care much about his clothes, suddenly started dressing up. His old, faded t-shirts and jeans were replaced by clean button-up shirts, nice pants, and even cologne. Cologne? Since when did he care about smelling like a department store? I thought to myself, watching him one morning as he got ready. The sharp clothes. The fancy cologne. The sudden interest in his looks. It wasn't like him at all. What's with the new style? I asked, half joking. Got a job interview or something? He smirked too fast. Just felt like changing things up. No harm in that, right? But the changes didn't stop with his clothes. He started staying late at work more and more. He'd text me, "Babe, sorry. This project's killing me. I won't be late, I promise." But the hours passed. Midnight came and went, and I'd still be sitting there, pretending everything was okay. I tried to convince myself it was just work stress. But the feeling that something was wrong never left. It followed me around like a shadow. That's when I did something I never imagined I'd do. I hired a private detective. It felt unreal, like I was in some cheap TV drama. But I needed the truth. I couldn't live in the dark anymore. When the envelope arrived, I just stared at it. It felt like time had frozen. I sat there for what felt like hours before I finally opened it. What I found broke my heart. Photos of Kevin with another woman. They were close. Too close. The way they looked at each other, the way they touched, it was obvious. They looked happy, like they had their own little world. A world that didn't include me. But the photos weren't the worst part. There was a recording too. And that was the real knife to the heart. I listened to their conversation. It was full of sweet words and future plans. This wasn't just a casual affair. They were in love. Or at least, Kevin was in love with her. I sat there with all the proof laid out in front of me, my heart breaking a little more with each passing moment. This was it, the evidence that could destroy our marriage and possibly lead to a messy divorce if it came to that. But I wasn't ready to confront him. Not yet. I needed to stay calm and think. I needed a plan. A way to deal with this without losing my self-respect. For the next few days, I carried the secret like a heavy weight in my chest. I acted like everything was fine. Kevin kept pretending, and so did I. I smiled, cooked, cleaned, and played the role of the perfect wife, while inside, I was falling apart. Even our conversations felt fake. Every word was chosen carefully, like we were both walking on eggshells. One evening, Kevin looked at me and asked, "You've been quiet lately, everything okay?" His voice almost sounded like he cared. "Yeah, just tired. Work's been crazy." I lied, the words feeling bitter in my mouth. It was just another normal day until it wasn't. I was walking past Kevin's office when I heard voices. The door was slightly open, so I paused. It was Kevin talking to his mother, Linda. Their tone was serious, cold and heavy with something darker. "I'm telling you, Mom," Kevin said, sounding tired and drained. I can't do this anymore. It's not just the kids. I don't feel anything for Patricia now. It's like we're just roommates, not husband and wife. His words hit me like a slap. Linda didn't even try to hide her cruel tone. Well, of course you feel that way, she said sharply. She hasn't given you a child. And let's be honest, what else has she brought into this marriage? Then, her voice changed, sly and greedy. But let's not rush anything. My 70th birthday is coming up, and we wouldn't want to miss out on a nice, generous gift from her, would we? Her words felt like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. They were using me, planning to take advantage of me just a little longer before tossing me aside. Then Kevin spoke again, his voice now cold and heartless. Yeah, and after we get that expensive gift, we can get rid of her, right? Exactly, dear, Linda replied. Her voice was filled with evil satisfaction. Just keep her around a little longer. I stood there, frozen. They were planning to kick me out of this family like I was part of a shopping list, like I didn't matter. The pain cut deep, but with it came something else, a fire inside me. A need to get back at them. They thought they could use me and toss me away like trash. They were wrong. I wasn't some weak piece in their twisted game. I was going to show them exactly who I was and what I could do. A few days later, we were all sitting at a family dinner when Linda, wearing her usual smug smile, brought up her birthday. So, Patricia dear, she said sweetly, what are you planning for my birthday? I hope it's something special. I looked her straight in the eye, my face calm and controlled. Actually, Linda, I was thinking of hosting a dinner for you at the most expensive restaurant in the city. A night you'll never forget. Her eyes sparkled with greed. She gave Kevin a quick, satisfied look. They really believed they had won. Oh, Patricia, that sounds wonderful. Let's keep it small though, just close family, she said, pretending to be modest, her voice sugary sweet. Of course, Linda. It'll be our pleasure, I replied, each word bitter as it left my mouth. The days leading up to her 70th birthday felt slow and heavy. Every time she made a rude comment or Kevin ignored me, it only made my plan stronger. My idea was simple but bold, something straight out of a movie. I'd throw a fancy dinner to make it look like I cared, and then I'd drop the truth right in front of everyone. The night before the dinner, the tension in our house was thick. Kevin had no idea what I was planning. He lay on the couch, scrolling through his phone. Everything ready for tomorrow? He asked without even looking up. Oh, you could say that, I replied calmly, hiding the storm building inside me. The day of the party came. The restaurant I booked was grand and filled with shining lights and fancy decor. As the guests arrived, the room buzzed with excitement. My heart wasn't nervous. It was beating fast with pure adrenaline. Linda soaked up all the attention, smiling proudly as she looked around. Oh, Patricia, you've really gone all out. This place is amazing, she said loudly, so everyone could hear. I smiled politely, acting like everything was fine. The conversations at the table were forced, the laughs fake. But I played along, knowing what was about to happen. After dinner, the waiter came up to me quietly. $80,000, he whispered, handing me the bill. Without even blinking, I took it. I handed over my card to pay the bill, and most people didn't even notice. Just then, as Kevin's usual smug smile appeared, he decided it was time to make his move. Patricia, he said in a cold, emotionless voice, I think everyone should know something. I looked up confused. I'm tired of this of us, he continued. We had been drifting apart for months, but hearing him say it out loud still shocked me. I want a divorce. His words hung in the air like thick smoke, making the room go completely silent. All the noise disappeared in an instant. I sat frozen, trying to make sense of what he had just said. Before I could say anything, Linda jumped in, like she was waiting for this moment. Well, now that it's out there, she said quickly, I think it's best if you leave, Patricia. Tonight is about family, and you're not part of it anymore. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared at me, waiting to see if I'd break down. But I didn't. I stood up, calm on the outside, even though I was hurting inside. I didn't say a word. I just nodded and walked out. The cold night air hit me as I stepped outside, and with every step I took, the reality sank in deeper. I was leaving behind the only life I had known for years. By the time I reached the apartment, his apartment, a plan had already started forming in my mind. There was no time for crying, no space for sadness. I packed my things quickly, my heart feeling numb. I had made up my mind. This was the end of one chapter and the beginning of a new one. As I zipped up my last suitcase, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At first, I ignored it. But then I checked and saw Linda's name on the screen. I answered. Her voice was sharp and angry right away. Patricia, the payment didn't go through. You need to fix this now. Oh, the irony. I had already expected this. Earlier, I had blocked access to our shared account, knowing Kevin would try to use it to cover the party bill. I let her words hang in the air for a second, then calmly replied, That's too bad, Linda. But since I'm no longer part of the family, like you said, I guess this is your problem now. She exploded on the phone, screaming and spitting insults, but to me, it was music. I could already picture the mess at the restaurant, the staff demanding payment, Linda panicking, maybe even the police showing up. It was the perfect ending to the fake marriage I had been stuck in. The next morning, divorce papers in hand, I returned to the place that used to be our home one last time. As soon as I walked through the door, I could feel the tension. Kevin and Linda were already arguing, but the moment they saw me, they turned on me together. You've got some nerve showing up here after what you did last night, Kevin said sharply, his face full of anger and disbelief. Linda, always ready to attack, hissed, Ungrateful brat. You embarrassed us in front of the whole city. The police showed up. People were filming and laughing. I looked at both of them calmly, even though I was shaking inside. Embarrassed? That's what you're worried about, I said, pulling out the divorce papers and the photos of Kevin's affair and tossing them onto the table. You should be more concerned about this. Kevin went pale as he looked at the photos. Linda leaned in, her eyes widening. Their anger quickly turned into shock, and then fear. Oh, and don't forget the prenup, I added, my voice cold and steady. You cheat, you pay, $200,000 to be exact. Linda's face twisted in rage. You wouldn't dare. You can't do this to us. Oh, but I can, I said, and I already have. Kevin's tone suddenly changed. He tried to act gentle, desperate. Please let's talk about this. We can fix it. I laughed, cold and bitter. Fix it? You think you can undo all of this with just words? No, Kevin. It's over. Linda tried to play nice too, her voice soft and fake. Patricia, sweetheart, think about what you're doing. This will ruin us. I looked her in the eye and said, That ship has already sailed, Linda. You should have thought about that before. They kept begging, but I had made my choice. I was done being their victim. In the end, Kevin had no choice but to borrow money from his parents to pay me what he owed. As I walked out of that house for the last time, with the check in my hand, I felt a strange feeling, relief. The pain and betrayal were behind me now. I was free. With the money, I found a small but comfortable place to live. It wasn't big or fancy, but it was mine. A peaceful space where I could start fresh. Life was quieter now, and I liked it. I had a job that kept me busy, kind neighbors who smiled and waved, and a little garden I loved taking care of. But every now and then, news from my old life would reach me. Just the other day, while I was grabbing coffee at a small cafe, I ran into someone from my old neighborhood. After the usual small talk, they leaned in and lowered their voice like they were about to share a big secret. Have you heard the latest drama about your ex and his mom? I raised an eyebrow, feeling curious. No, I haven't. What happened? I asked. The gossip was too good to ignore. Turns out, Kevin's new girlfriend wasn't getting along with Linda at all. They were always arguing and clashing. It sounded way worse than anything I had gone through. Compared to that, my time with them looked easy. As I walked away with my coffee in hand, I felt nothing but relief. There was a time when news like that would have hurt me or sent me into a spiral.
But now?
It was just someone else's problem, not mine. These days, my biggest worries are things like whether my tomatoes will ripen before the squirrels eat them, or if I'll ever learn how to do yoga without wobbling like a baby deer on ice. Life is simpler now, quieter, and honestly, so much sweeter on this side of the chaos.